What is up, guys? Welcome back to Behind the Ball. And as you can see on the screen, out of absolutely nowhere yesterday, after being like loosely linked with him at breakfast, being told that he told his friends that he was coming to England at lunch, at about 5 p.m. it was confirmed that we have signed Diego Carlos from Sevilla. So, much like I done with the Boubacar Kamara signing, let's go through what the signing of Diego Carlos actually means for Aston Villa. How will it affect us as a team? How will it affect our current crop of centre-backs, including Mings and Konsa, who have been our ever-stays since we got promoted to the Premier League a few seasons back, and what his kind of play style is, how he'll fit in, and how I think we can mould the team around getting literally a Champions League player. Sevilla were in the Champions League last season. They also finished fourth in their league this season as well, so they'd be going again. It's a massive, massive signing, £26 million. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's look at Diego Carlos as a player a bit deeper. So, in terms of Diego Carlos, who he is, let's have a little look. In terms of honours, he's won the Europa League and he was an Olympic Games medal winner with Brazil. He's 6'1", he weighs about 79 kilograms, but as you can see by some of the photos that are going to be floating on screen as we go through this segment, the geezer is built like an IFBB pro. Like, he is muscular. And when I've been reading some of the scouting reports that I've seen online, because to be honest, I've never really thought of him as a Villa player, so I've had to do my research over the past couple of days since we got linked with him and eventually bought him. He kind of looks bigger on the pitch from everything I've seen, from the highlights I've watched, from the scouting reports that I've read. Due to how muscular he is, you wouldn't even think that he is 6'1". Like, he looks bigger when you see him on the pitch. He's 29 years old, so again, this is another example for me of Villa kind of, yes, we've signed Kamara, who's young, but then you look at sort of the Luca Digne, the Philip Coutinho, and you think, actually, we're signing players in their prime now. We want success now, not success in 3 or 4 years. In terms of playing in La Liga, he has 102 overall La Liga appearances for Sevilla after he signed for them, I think in 2018 from FC Nantes or Nantes in the French Ligue 1. As I say, over 100 La Liga caps. He finished fourth with them this season. They were Champions League last season, so they were always in and around that sort of top 4 race in La Liga, just below, obviously, the likes of Real Madrid, Barca, and Atletico Madrid. He also has 25 overall European caps, so that's a combination of Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Super Cup, because obviously Sevilla won the Europa League with him once. He is right-footed, not left-footed, and generally lines up in a back four as the left centre-back in that back four, not the right centre-back. So right-footed, playing on the left. In terms of the scouting reports and the pie chart breakdowns that I've seen of him, he stands out in a few areas. He's good pace-wise, very, very quick defender, and he's comfortable defending inside his own box, as well as defending sort of as a bit of a higher line with space in behind, and that's what he uses his pace for. Considering how muscular he is, he's very agile, obviously very strong on the ball. There was a lot of mention of him using his body quite well to get people off the ball. Despite his height, he is good aerially, and we'll get onto that later on because I've got a little bit of a comparison between him, Konsa, and Mings that we'll go through using the Sortska sort of comparison tool that they have on their website, which is really, really good. I'll link that down below. But he does struggle going forward in terms of his progressive passes, something that he has been working on in terms of the last season or so. But sort of he is an out-and-out centre-back, like a bull of a defender. And his tackle percentage was, I think, the highest in the league in 2018 to 19 in the league, or 1920, and I think he had the highest amount of blocks in the league last season. So defensively, he is sort of like a diamond. Going forward, he struggles a little bit. But again, you know, you're not signing a centre-back to get you 20 assists a season, are you? I'll link a couple of the articles down below in terms of the scouting reports that I've seen, but that's the main takeaways from it. And I like the fact that they said he's comfortable defending in his own box, which is something we're going to have to do against the likes of Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool, etc., etc. But he's also comfortable defending space behind him in a higher line, which is something that we should be looking to do against like the likes of like Leeds, sort of maybe Everton next season if they don't improve like drastically, the newly promoted teams as well, you know, your Brentfords, etc., etc. We should be looking to push higher up the pitch, be progressive, dominate that possession, which we will be able to do now, hopefully, with the signings that we're bringing in. So the fact that he's versatile in that way is again, for me, absolutely perfect. But you don't sign a £26 million Champion League player to sit him on the bench. So who is going to drop out of our team? Let's look at our current centre-backs. So we're going to start off with the centre-backs who I don't really see being in the conversation to get them out of the way. And then we're going to do an in-depth comparison against Mings and Konsa. So first off, we'll start with Callum Chambers, signed this season, been really, really good when he's been asked to deputise in the team. Can also play left-back, right-back, CDM, you name it. He mainly, when he plays in the back four, he mainly plays as the right centre-back. So not really direct competition for Diego Carlos coming in. He is a cover centre back. He's right-footed, same as Carlos. I don't think there's any issues with him, to be honest, in terms of dropping out the team, because he was never in the team. He was never signed to be our starting centre back. He's obviously signed to be an experienced Premier League squad player who can come in and do a job when we need him to. So I don't see really this signing impacting Chambers at all. I think he's still going to do his thing. I think possibly next season we'll see him and Carlos line up in the same lineup. I don't see it being an issue. They're not exactly the most similar players in the world, but like I say, Chambers usually plays over to the right. He's not a starting centre-back for us. We all knew that. He'll stay at the club, I think, and he's a good squad player. Moving on to Courtney Hawes. If you guys have watched my Defenders chopping block video, which I'll link down below, there's going to be a lot of links in this one. Courtney Hawes, he is left-footed, but again, he's a cover centre-back. He's not really playing. He played like 9 games last season. He does play left centre-back mainly. Obviously being left-footed, generally your left-footed centre-backs will play left centre-back. So the fact that Carlos actually plays on the left and he's right-footed is possibly he will get moved over to the right. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously, generally you want a right-footed and left-footed centre-back. It's kind of ideal for playing out the back. But again, Courtney Hawes' last appearance was a 2-1 loss versus Brentford on the 1st of February 2022. So that kind of tells you everything that you need to know. I don't see Hawes being at the club after this summer. I think he'll be moved on. And I think with the signing of Carlos, the fact that we're after Bassi as well from Rangers and possibly Tarkowski on a free, how does this signing impact Hawes? I think it just 100% confirms that we're going to be getting rid of him. I don't think we need him at the club anymore. I like him as a player. I like him as a man, what he stands for, etc., etc. But I think this is pretty much just confirmed that Hawes will be out of the team going forward. So now, let's move on to the big ones. Mings and Konsa. Who is dropping out of the starting lineup to allow Diego Carlos to come in? So, just a quick rundown. Mings is left-footed. He's our captain. However, he does play left centre-back, which is Diego Carlos's main position for Seville. However, is Carlos mainly a left centre-back because they also have Koundé, who is a fantastic centre-back who's just holding down the right centre-back role? And can Carlos move across there to allow Mings to stay in? Then you have your left-footed and right-footed player as well. Mings and Carlos seem to be similar players in terms of their strengths, weaknesses, how they play as players, etc., etc. Obviously, I think Carlos is probably a little bit better. I don't know. Haven't seen him play sort of 90 minutes consistently over a season, though. And then we look at Konsa just quickly before we get into comparing their stats. Konsa is right-footed. He does play right centre-back. However, since his injury, he has been in really poor form. I think he could really be in danger, to be honest. Do you want, in a Premier League system, and Steven Gerrard, yes, we tend to end up just hoofing it up the field with Mings, but does Steven Gerrard want 2 right-footed centre-backs in a back four when you could have a right and left-footed in there, especially if we're playing out from the back? I'm not too sure. However, let's drag up the comparison tool that I have up here. So I've done it between Tyrone Mings, Ezri Konsa and Diego Carlos from the Premier League and obviously La Liga. So we look at their Opta performance index, if anyone wants to go off of that. Mings has a 48, Ezri Konsa has a 46. Diego Carlos has a 68, clearly winning that one. In terms of games played, we're not really too interested in that. Tyrone Mings beats everyone. Now, obviously, you have to take into account that Aston Villa finished 14th. We were under the cosh a lot of our games last season. We were losing a lot of games last season. Seville finished 4th in their league. They were clearly dominating games. So in terms of passes attempted, Diego Carlos has 2,181. Just for sort of comparison, Ezri Konsa has 1,005. So Carlos pretty much doubles that. And the thing that makes it even more impressive is his pass accuracy is 87%, which is the highest of all 3. Mings being the lowest at 79%. Ezri Konsa right behind him, to be fair, on 86%. In terms of long pass accuracy as well, 53% for Carlos. That is more than the other two as well. And remember, in the start of the video, I said he struggles going forward, but it's something that he's clearly been working on this season. There you go. The next one that really, really excites me about Diego Carlos is, despite the fact that obviously Villa would have done a lot more defending than Seville this season, there's no doubt about it, Diego Carlos made more tackles than the other two as well. Ezri Konsa, 10 behind him. In terms of aerial duels, he's just behind Tyrone Mings as opposed to the number that he's contested. However, his success rate is higher than the other two. Ezri Konsa's actually being 58% compared to Carlos's 64% is a surprising one. I thought Ezri Konsa was stronger in the air than that. In terms of ground duels contested, they're literally all the same. Ezri Konsa actually coming out with the highest ground duel success rate at 69%. Woi. Diego Carlos has 58% and Tyrone Mings has 58%. Do you remember when I was saying they were kind of similar in their ground duel sort of area? You know, again, they've all contested the same. Ezri Konsa is clearly a Rolls Royce of a defender when the ball's on the ground. But again, you have to take into account the form. In terms of clearances, Tyrone Mings wipes the floor with all three of them for clearances, pretty much doubling Ezri Konsa and having 30 more than Diego Carlos. Interceptions, Tyrone Mings is head above heels above the rest. Ezri Konsa only making 15 interceptions last season. Tyrone Mings making 46 and Diego Carlos making 24. But again, take into consideration that Seville would have been on the front foot for most of their games. And in terms of blocks, I told you he had the most blocks in La Liga last season with 33. However, Tyrone Mings only a little bit behind him on 30. So you take all of that into consideration. He has the most stars, which I don't know if you ever use the Sortska comparison app, which means that he's probably one of the better players on there. But, you know, you look at it, and again, he's clearly a good defender. He clearly blows the other two out of the water in terms of stats last season, and considering he would have had to do less defending than the other two, it makes it all the more impressive. Now, obviously, is La Liga as competitive as a league as the Premier League? Is he going to have to be defending against, the fact that pretty much the top 10 teams have special players on them in the Premier League? Even if you're playing, if you're playing the team that's finishing 7th or 8th in the Liga, you're not having to play a player that's having the season that Jared Bowen's having, if you know what I mean. Manchester United, a massive club, Rashford, Sancho, Cristiano Ronaldo, they're finishing like 7th, 6th, 7th. You know what I mean? It's different. It's a different league. I do get that. But again, looking at these stats, you'd have to think that him and Mings together would do a job. However, you look at the ground duel success rate, and then could you link the fact that Ezri Konsa is so good when the ball's on the floor in front of him, and Diego Carlos is so much better everywhere else? Would those two merge to create like a Megatron of a centre-back partnership? I'm not 100% sure. Let's wrap the video up, let's get into the conclusion, and I'll give you my analysis of what I think will happen next season. So, taking it all into consideration, the stats that I've just gone through with you, the left-footed, right-footed, which you'll be surprised how big of a deal it is, the form charts, that we're going through, what do I think Villa will line up with in terms of back four next season? Now, obviously, this is due to change, and there might be a what does the signing of Bassi mean for Villa video coming out next week. There could be a Tarkowski video coming out next week. But as it stands, if it was me, I think my starting lineup would have Emi Martinez in goal, Luca Digne, Matty Cash. Obviously, they're not going to change. I think I would stick with Tyrone Mings as my left centre-back, and I would move Diego Carlos over to be my right centre-back. You've got a left-footed and right-footed option. Yes, possibly they're going to be prone to some mistakes, but that's why you have Emi Martinez to save the penalties, right? Look, Carlos and Konsa could really, really work together. However, I just think that at the moment, how he's playing, I think you've got to go with Mings and Carlos as our starting centre-back options. Now, this will either impact Konsa one or two ways. It will either mean that he'll be moved on eventually for sort of a big sum of money, or is this going to be the catalyst that Konsa's going to need to think, you know what, I had it sweet under Dean Smith. I was playing out my skin. I've had this injury. I've lost Dean Smith, who he was clearly close to from his Brentford days. Now I've got to rebuild under Gerrard. I've really got to knuckle down. I've got a Champions League centre-back to compare with here. I need to compete with him. I need to push him out that lineup. Or he even needs to think selfishly. I need to push my captain out this lineup. I need to show Steven Gerrard and the Villa fans that I am better than either of these two players. And I think it might be a catalyst for him to kick on and really find his form. And then you have a Carlos and Konsa, which just kind of sounds right, partnership. But I do feel like for at least the first half of next season, we're going to see a Mings and Carlos sort of link up. Left centre-back Mings, right centre-back Carlos. That is what I think that the signing means for Aston Villa. I also think it means that we are solidifying our defence so much. It is a Champions League centre-back, guys. This is such an exciting time, and there could still be more defenders through the door. Ultimately, it does mean that we're going to lose Hawes, I believe, but I think we were all kind of ready for that. What a signing. 26 million. Are you joking? As Mr. Roy Keane would say, are you joking? It is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I was buzzing with the news. Absolutely buzzing with the news. I said to my missus, I was like, what? We just signed him? And she was just like, shut up and make my dinner, man. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen next with Aston Villa. And I think that's got proven yesterday. But what do you guys think? Who do you guys think our back two will be? When I mean back two, I mean our centre-backs. Are we going to change, or are we going to try and solidify a partnership throughout the whole season? I think it's going to be Mings and Carlos. I'm absolutely buzzing now. Absolutely buzzing. I cannot wait to see us next season, and there's going to be more signings. That's the thing. This was a bit of a change to our scheduled programming, guys. The chopping block attackers will now come out on Sunday, I believe, because I've got a long shift at work tomorrow. So on Sunday, stay tuned for that one. Let me know what you guys think about the Diego Carlos signing down below. As always, I've been behind the ball. Enjoy your weekend, guys. I'm out.